selling trucks for 49 years.
All right, welcome to Post Game Live, and it's so fresh that it took a while for that to register right there on that scoreboard. You haven't seen that very often. Patriots lose the Super Bowl 60 to the Seahawks, 29-13. The last time the Patriots lost a game, it was actually December 14th, 2025. Haven't lost this year, haven't lost in 56 days until tonight. They lose Super Bowl 60, and let's get some thoughts from our crew. Our crew is here around the table. We got Phil Perry, we've got Tommy Curran, we've got a couple of Super Bowl champions, Ted Johnson and Brian Hoyer. Phil, I'll start with you. Thoughts?
That's an old-fashioned butt whipping. You just got handled in the trenches, and the quarterback's play eventually dipped and melted completely by the end of this thing. So that's, to me, where it starts. It's on the offensive line. Couldn't run the ball effectively. Couldn't pass protect. Everything devolves from there.
They played young. They turned into a pumpkin in the biggest game. And, you know, you look at it and you say, you wondered if some point during the year they would lay an egg. And I never expected them to get blown out in the Super Bowl. But I didn't expect them to play young because they have played so maturely and decisively all season long that this was wholly unexpected, Ted.
So shocking to see the offense just really didn't come to a play today. It felt like I was shocked. They just couldn't get anything going, no continuity at all. Really never caught fire this whole game. Drake May looked uncomfortable from jump, so I know the offensive line was leaky. But Drake May, look, even when he did have time, guys weren't getting open, and there were times when guys were open and he was missing them. So very disappointing. I thought the offense, even though it hadn't played well these last few games, I thought because of the weather, the conditions, the 2 weeks to prepare, that they would play a lot better than they have in the playoffs. Not the case. So that's a tough one because we haven't seen a game like this all season long, and to see it in the last game is definitely disheartening, Brian.
Yeah, just disappointing. I mean, that's the biggest thing to take away. And honestly, they hurt themselves too early too often. They would move forward, and then they would go backwards with the sacks. Seattle blitzed a little bit more than they probably expected. And when Drake May makes that mic point, and all of a sudden they switch it on him, and it comes over here, you got to have an answer for it. And he held the ball with sacks. And, shout out to the defense for hanging in there. And, for as far off as that game felt, at one point it's only 12-0. You're like, all right, they still have a chance. Christian Gonzalez played his butt off. But you saw it on the defense's face when Drake May fumbled. They were it was the dejection kind of hit them, and they tried to battle back, but it's disappointing in the biggest game of the year. This is the time they actually end up getting blown out.
I want to ask you guys about a current line. You phrased it beautifully, Tommy, when you said they played young. And I wonder, is it they played young, and was it also a personnel issue? In other words, let's say they knew this game was coming. If you told Josh McDaniels this is exactly how they're going to play you, is it, hey, they've got no answers for it because it's personnel, or is it just the big stage overwhelming? I wonder, Brian, do you think if Josh McDaniels had all the answers to the test before this happened, is it just that Will Campbell is really a guard and not a tackle, and Jarrett Wilson is really a center and not a guard? Or do you think it's just that the moment was too big?
I mean, I think we're here. It's going to be immediate emotional overreaction. And I would say throughout this playoffs, that left side of the line really was the problem. And it just was exposed more and more. And when I would look, even just looking at Will Campbell in his stance, he didn't look confident. He wasn't moving quickly enough. He was a half a second, late off the ball. And it just, I don't know. That's going to be the discussion. Do you move those two guys down and go and get a legit big left tackle like you see with, when you had Trent Brown, or go out and get someone like that? Because ultimately, I don't know so much if this even mattered that it was a Super Bowl. If you're playing the Seattle Seahawks, this is where the matchup really dictated the outcome of the game.
Yeah, I think, Michael, I get what you're saying in terms of youth and maybe the lights being too bright for you. I think you can look young and just get overpowered, in part because of your youth. That looked like a JV squad going up against the varsity on the left side of the Patriots offensive line. I mean, it wasn't like they were clearly just blowing assignments, right, Ted? They were there in position, and they were getting driven back into the quarterback's lap. That, to me, can be youth. I don't know what you do. Do you change positions, as Michael mentions? Do you just get them in the weight room and get them stronger next year? But I agree with Tom. They looked young, but they were just getting simply overpowered. They didn't look like they had the strength to hold up in the trenches.
Start lifting, boys. Start lifting. This was a great season. They did admirably for most of the season, but they started playing elite pass rushers, and you saw there's some deficiencies there clearly with that left side. And Brian and I were talking about before we went on, where, it's almost like the Seahawks gave the Patriots a taste of their own medicine. They were blitzing more than they typically do. And like we said, once the Seahawks saw that they were having issues with it, heck, they just kind of kept pouring it on. And what happens is even when they're not blitzing, that offensive line is so sped up because they've been bull rushed by the blitz that they can't even handle the 4-man rushes. And you saw Drake May just really kind of like what the Patriots defense did to C.J. Stroud, what the Patriots did to Jarrett Stidham. You get blitz to them early, and all of a sudden their body just speeds up, and they can't ever really get calm and cool. And they were just from the jump, that offensive line and the quarterback weren't on the same page.
It was an awesome scheme. It was really a great scheme because, as you point out, there were guys getting overpowered the left side of the line, but then when they weren't, they're sending Devin Witherspoon off the other side, the weak side, and he's getting lost and then popping into the quarterback. There was a sack where I was like, where did he come from?
Yeah.
Because he just materialized in front of May and brought him down. But those conversations, I think, will be interesting off-season conversations to have. Do you hook everything on the Super Bowl and say, well, they can't do it? Or do you say, well, they're going to get better? And that's what's good about a good team with a bunch of draft picks and free agent capital, that if you want to move these very good seemingly players around on your offensive line, you can do that. But certainly today is a reminder of these are some places we're going to need to get better if we're going to go back to this game, which I wouldn't be stunned if they did, and win it. But to me, I think that they got out-schemed, and I don't know how you alter in this game, Teddy, when you
I see you reacting, Ted.
No, I really want to pitch it to Brian because I feel like the answers, like, I don't know, Brian, like, spread them out. Empty? Can we go empty? Can we do some hurry up? Can we do something different to kind of get them? People go draws and screens. Heck, the draws weren't working.
Yeah.
I don't. The quick game is Seattle. I mean, Seattle's defense is best of the quick game, so I'm not sure that was the answer.
No.
I was thinking more empty formations to kind of make the reads clear and get him to calm down. I didn't see that.
Yeah, there was a few where he got the short game, pass game going, but you hit on it before, and I've been there. The internal clock starts to pick up, and you saw with his feet. There was the one. I believe right before halftime, he kind of slid to the right, rocketed in there off of Diggs' hands. We haven't seen Drake May really be that uncomfortable in a long time. Even going back to the Houston game, he settled in. Mm-hmm. He never settled in tonight. And then it basically got to the point where it was like, screw it, let's just try to drop back and throw it. And he hit a few deep passes. And I was saying to Michael in there, with that Seattle defense, if you can keep them on the field long enough, they tire out, but they just never able to stay on the field long enough to get them tired, that front four. And I think the one thing that got me too was we heard all along they don't create pressure with blitzing. Well, they hit them this time, and you and I were saying before, if you're a defense and you hit them and they don't do anything to pick it up, just keep bringing it. And the way that they were doing it with the scheme was showing it one way, making Drake declare the protection there, and all of a sudden here comes Witherspoon off the edge. No one's responsible for him, and in that situation, Drake has to know, I have to throw hot. I have to get rid of the ball. I can't keep holding on to it.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Brian made that point during the game, was they could see where he was setting the protection. He's oftentimes just pointing, so he's letting everybody know, hey, we're going to slide to the left. And after showing pressure coming from the left, they would then drop out and they would actually bring pressure from the right, and it wasn't able to be picked up and he wasn't ready for it often. There were a couple of throws, and there was one that I think Chris Collinsworth mentioned. He said that might have been the best play of the night from Drake May. It was a little short throw into the flat to Ramondre Stevenson, but it was against that kind of look. It looked like they set the line one way. There was a free runner coming off the other side, and he got it out in time. It felt like he was only able to do that once or twice over the course of the entire game, and a lot of the other times that they ended up blitzing, they were getting home.
There are probably 10 million New England armchair quarterbacks on a Sunday night trying to figure out what happened, why didn't the Patriots win this game, or why weren't the Patriots more competitive in this game. You're probably among the 10 million. We want you to join the conversation. Vote in our poll by going to NBCSportsBoston.com/PatriotsVote. Scan the QR code you see it on the screen and scroll down to the poll. And the options right now, I'm going to go to our panel here. The options are, was it Drake May? He missed a couple of easy throws. Was it the offensive line? We talked about that already. Or was it Josh McDaniels? Come on, Josh, how about 2 minutes? How about, hey, Josh, why don't you get Drake May rolling out, take advantage of his legs? If you had to pinpoint it, Ted, and say, this is why this game was not as close as 29-13 seems to be, what was it?
Yeah, if I have to pick one, and I think they're all responsible. I probably have to say Drake. I just feel like There were times when he was just holding the ball a little bit too long. You've known your left side has been an issue. I thought he could have maybe scrambled a few more times. And they were playing zone, which is usually what they've. I know they're excellent at it, but it's usually the coverage that he picks them apart. I just thought there were plays to be made. I forgot he got sacked on one play where they showed the end zone kind of view of it, and you see Diggs wide open, kind of open up. If he just would have hung in there a little bit longer, he had him for a big play. I didn't feel like from the jump, you guys, that Drake May was comfortable, that he was settled. And so, to me, I put more of it on Drake. I mean, he's won games where he's been sacked 5 times, 6 times, had turned the ball over, but didn't look like that. So I just felt like maybe Drake, this game was kind of big. It was a long season that it just kind of caught up to him, you guys. I put it on Drake, but it's really the offensive line. And I thought Josh McDaniels did not have his best game. I thought there'd be better adjustments at halftime. Come out the first 3rd down and 3. It's a comeback to Kayshon Boutte. A comeback to Kayshon Boutte. That's not what he does. So I thought it was. Everybody's got a little bit of part in this, but I thought the majority of it was Drake May.
I would say offensive line first. Then impacting May 2, and then McDaniels not coming up with some kind of an antidote in that order. Once he saw what was going on, and I don't know what the antidote is. You can keep saying, well, just do that better, which I think was the approach. Settle down and just do what we're asking you to. Brian, you know better than me, and Phil, I'm sure you get a thought on it.
Well, when I think about the order, I probably go offensive line first too, just because I think the quarterback play stems off of that. It's just this waterfall effect, and you end up drowning by the end of it. We knew, and this is the funny thing about the Mike Macdonald defense. You know, I talked to an offensive coordinator. We talked about it in the breakdown, Ted and I. Offensive coordinator to prepare for these guys earlier this season says there's no real secret in terms of what they do. They're going to be 4 down linemen, and they're going to play quarter. So they're going to have 2 high safeties. They're going to make it really hard to throw the ball deep because of those 2 high safety looks, and they're really hard to run against because those guys are just so freaking talented. But you have to run them out of those looks. If you can have some success running the football. The Rams ran it for 5 yards a carry in the NFC Championship game. You have to have success running the football, force a body into the box, then it makes it a little bit easier to throw, and your life becomes a little bit easier. They never could complete step 1. Step 1 is run it effectively. Their running backs average 3.2 yards per carry today. That's not good enough to run them out of those looks that they just like to sit in and make life hard for them.
They'd get 7, and then they get 1.
Exactly.
And then it's 3rd.
Or they go back 7. I mean, that to me.
Let's play some blame game.
I hate the blame game. I mean, look, the reality is it's all of them. I know. But the reality is I would agree with you. The line not being able to protect Drake May, now all of a sudden he's feeling it. And I've been there before. Now, I wasn't, the runner-up to the MVP award. But the reality was you could see that it had him flustered. It had double clutching, because the problem is when you get that rush sometimes you have a hard time seeing. There's no clear lanes to throw, so he's like looking, all of a sudden nothing's there. He tries to extend, it's too late. I thought they had some plays in the second half where they came out with some wide zone to Travion, some toss crack, and they got it going. And then it's like, okay, we're in 2nd and short. Let's try to let maybe a play action here or drop back, and all of a sudden you're sacked and you're going backward. It was just too much. Go 2 steps forward and take 3 steps back. And ultimately, for them to be able to win this game, they needed to gain control of the game at some point, and the reality was they never had control.
Never, not once. What do you guys think about it? It was 9 minutes left in the game. The Patriots are down 17-9. It's 2nd and 3, and they just kind of got the ball out from deep in their own end zone. And Drake just throws it up and interception.
Yeah. Brian had an interesting game.
I'm like, to me, that was just like.
19-7.
He's throwing to the right guy.
19-7.
This is the thing.
They're down 19-7.
And we were sitting in there, and Drake is throwing to the right guy. It was quarter, half, which we talked about in the pregame. You run 2 in cuts to the quarter side. It nails down the safety. Here comes the post across, and he's got a little bit of pressure. So instead of throwing it across the field, he throws it to where the post is, as opposed to where he's going. Yeah. And now it looks like he's throwing up to no one. He's going to the right guy, but it's got to be the right type of throw, and that's where 3.5 quarters or whatever it was of that pressure got to him, and he didn't get to throw the ball the way he probably should have.
Brian, how hard is it when you're a quarterback in a game of import to try and rebottle your emotions and your desperation?
It's so hard. I mean, it's so hard to do. The thing was, for being 23 years old, we've seen him do it time and time and time again. And, when he had that fumble, that strip sack fumble, He saw him hit the ground. Like, we haven't seen him have a lot of negative emotion. And I think sometimes, like, the gravity of it all hits you in that moment. And it's like, all right, I got to go out and make something more. And he had some good plays leading up before he threw that one up. But, man, that was the right read. It's just you got to throw the ball across the field.
It just felt like that drive.